The morning sun rises gently over the winding Tigris River, its golden rays spilling onto the banks like warm honey. Along the muddy shoreline, reeds sway quietly in the breeze. A farmer wakes just before dawn, stretching his arms and listening to the faint hum of insects and the soft rustle of water. This is the land of Mesopotamia, an ancient cradle of life nestled between the Tigris and Euphrates. The word Mesopotamia itself means land between rivers, and for thousands of years, it has been home to some of the earliest human civilizations. From the Sumerians and Akkadians to the Babylonians and Assyrians, people here have lived, worked, and dreamed under the same wide, open skies. In a small mud brick house at the edge of a village, a woman stirs a clay pot of lentil stew. Her children are still asleep on straw mats in the corner. She hums softly, the melody passed down from her mother, and her mother before her. Outside, smoke curls lazily from chimneys as others begin their day. There is no rush. Life here flows gently, like the river itself. Fields stretch beyond the village, neatly sectioned and ready for planting. The soil is rich, black with centuries of flood-borne nutrients. Water channels branch from the river, part of an irrigation system built with care and maintained by generations of farmers. These canals are the lifeblood of the land. They bring water to barley and wheat, to date palms and fig trees. In the distance, the ziggurat of a nearby city rises like a staircase to the heavens. Its layered terraces are painted with faded blues and reds, dedicated to the gods who dwell above. The people believe that these gods walk among them in spirit, guiding the sun, the rain, and the harvest. Each city has its own patron deity, Inanna of Uruk, Enlil of Nippur, Marduk of Babylon. The temples are quiet now, but soon priests will chant their morning hymns. A scribe prepares for the day's work. He sits cross-legged, smoothing out a soft clay tablet. With a sharpened reed stylus, he begins to write. The script is cuneiform, wedge-shaped marks etched into the clay. He records lists of grain, trade goods, offerings to the temple. These simple marks tell stories, preserve laws, and trace the rhythms of everyday life. In the marketplace, vendors begin to arrange their wares. Baskets of onions, garlic, and cucumbers sit beside bundles of wool, ceramic bowls, and tiny jars of perfume. The air carries a mix of smells, earth, smoke, spices, and the distant sweetness of ripened fruit. A group of children run past, giggling, their feet kicking up small clouds of dust. Life in Mesopotamia is full of motion, yet it is not rushed. People pause to greet one another, to share news, to offer dates or bread. A potter spins her wheel beneath a shady awning, shaping soft clay into smooth, symmetrical bowls. Her fingers move with the grace of long practice. Nearby, a young boy helps his father repair a fishing net, knotting each strand with care. Even the animals seem to move with calm purpose. Goats graze near the edge of the village, their bells tinkling softly. Donkeys trot by, carrying jugs of water or sacks of grain. Birds flutter overhead, their calls echoing against the sun-baked walls. As the sun climbs higher, shadows shorten. The rhythm of the day settles in, measured, thoughtful. Some families offer a small prayer before their midday meal. They give thanks for water, for food, for peace. Life here is not always easy. Droughts come, rivers flood, and kings rise and fall. But still, the people endure. They have built something lasting in this land of rivers. In the cool shade of a palm tree, an elder tells stories to a group of children. She speaks of Gilgamesh, the great king of Uruk who sought immortality. Her voice is soft but full of feeling, and the children listen wide-eyed as she describes battles, gods, monsters, and ancient wisdom. Her words, though spoken, are like the cuneiform tablets. Meant to last, to carry memory forward. As afternoon nears, the village rests briefly. Men wipe sweat from their brows. Women fan themselves with woven palm leaves. The silence is not empty, it is full of life, full of presence. In Mesopotamia, time flows like the rivers. Not in a straight line, but in curves and cycles. Evening will come soon, bringing cooler air and glowing lamps. But for now, the day hums on gently. This is not a tale of war or empire, not yet. This is the quiet life of Mesopotamia. A life shaped by earth, by water, and by the simple rhythm of living close to the land. The sun casts long, drowsy beams over the scribe's courtyard. There, under a woven reed canopy, a young apprentice unrolls a scroll of palm fiber, studying the lines of cuneiform inscribed by his master the day before. His fingers are smudged with soft clay, his eyes still adjusting to the sunlight filtering through the rushes above. Writing is sacred here, not just a tool for counting grain or noting the phases of the moon. It is a bridge between people and the divine, a way to preserve the whispers of time. Mesopotamia is one of the first places on earth where symbols were shaped into words, and words into history. The stylus, carved from dried reed, is not much to look at. But in the hands of a trained scribe, it becomes powerful. With gentle pressure, he presses wedge-shaped marks into soft clay. Downward for a vertical wedge. Sideways for a horizontal. The pattern becomes familiar, like breathing, like heartbeat. One mark, then another. And slowly, the world unfolds on the tablet. Inside the scribal school, or idubba, boys recite from memory the names of kings, lists of animals, proverbs, hymns, and contracts. These boys are not just learning letters, they're learning order. They're learning the structure of the world as their elders understand it, that the gods speak in pattern, that crops grow in cycles, and that knowledge, recorded knowledge, is the spine of civilization. The scribe's tools are few: clay tablets, water to soften the material, and the stylus. Yet what they create is immense. In one tablet lies a hymn to Enki, god of water and wisdom. In another, a list of wages paid in silver and barley. In another still, a letter from a daughter to her father, asking when she may return home. Every mark matters. Every symbol tells a story. In the archives of a nearby temple, tablets are stacked like loaves of bread, orderly, numerous, precious. They are dried in the sun or baked in a kiln for permanence. Some contain laws, like those from King Uarnamu of Uar. Others preserve myths, the story of the flood, of Inanna's descent into the underworld, or of Gilgamesh and his search for the secret of eternal life. These writings don't just tell us what the people of Mesopotamia thought, they tell us how they thought. How they saw the seasons, how they feared the drought, how they praised the rain. How they governed trade, worshipped gods, mourned their dead. Outside the school, a father watches as his son struggles to shape his letters. He smiles gently and kneels beside him, steadying the boy's hand. This moment, simple and quiet, is part of the larger tradition. Not everyone learns to write, but everyone knows that writing is power. That the written word can reach beyond lifetimes. On market days, scribes sit near the gates, ready to record contracts or settle disputes. Two men arrive, one with goats, the other with baskets of barley. They exchange goods, and the scribe makes note, on the 5th day of the 7th month, so many goats for so much barley. A small clay seal is pressed into the tablet to mark it official. No shouting. No arguments. Just the rhythm of trade, preserved in stone. Further down the road, a caravan passes, bearing lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, cedarwood from Lebanon, and copper from Oman. The scribe at the city gate tallies each item, ensuring taxes are recorded and proper offerings are made to the temple. His fingers move quickly, deftly, like a musician playing notes on an ancient song. As the day warms, a woman enters the temple courtyard. In her arms, she carries a clay tablet wrapped in linen. She lays it at the feet of a statue, perhaps of Nanshi, goddess of justice and wisdom. The priest collects it, nodding in solemn understanding. A prayer, perhaps. Or a plea. Or maybe a confession. The words will be read, then stored with reverence. Even now, thousands of years later, we find these tablets buried in the sands. We lift them from the earth, dust them gently, and read the thoughts of people who lived and loved in the quiet valleys of Mesopotamia. Their hopes. Their rules. Their voices. The scribes of this land are not warriors or kings. They don't build ziggurats or lead armies. But they preserve the world. They preserve its breath, its memory. Through drought and flood, through rise and fall, their tablets endure. As afternoon gives way to evening, the apprentice sets aside his stylus and carries his tablet to a shelf. He glances at the others, hundreds of them, maybe thousands, each a flicker of thought hardened into permanence. He smiles, brushes the clay dust from his tunic, and watches the sun begin to dip behind the walls of the temple. The earth is quiet before sunrise. Just a soft, patient hush as the morning mist curls low along the canals. A thin layer of dew clings to the wheat stalks, and the barley waves gently in the breeze. Somewhere nearby, a frog croaks. A few birds stretch their wings. In Mesopotamia, life and land are woven tightly together. The people rise with the sun, just as they have for generations, and move toward the fields. There are no alarm bells or factory whistles, only the call of the land, a rhythm older than language itself. A man ties his headscarf and lifts his wooden hoe. His wife, walking beside him, carries a basket of young plants. Behind them, their children skip along the path, occasionally stopping to inspect a snail or chase a grasshopper. The youngest, barely able to walk, rides on his mother's hip, her arms used to the weight. These fields are part of a grand, ancient system, an organized patchwork of agriculture that sustained entire cities. They are not randomly scattered but measured carefully with rope and stone, marked by boundary pegs and shared by families. The crops grown here, mostly wheat, barley, flax, onions, lentils, will feed both village and temple. The man reaches a furrow he dug days ago. The soil is soft, dark, and moist, perfect. His wife begins to plant while he works to repair the irrigation channel that brings water from the river. It's a shallow trench, but it stretches for miles, carefully sloped, guided by hand-cut stone and the gentle pull of gravity. Without these channels, the crops would wither. With them, the desert blooms. The children gather reeds along the canal's edge. They laugh as they balance on the stones, dipping their toes in the cool water. One of the older girls weaves a small mat from the reeds, a skill she learned from her grandmother. In the distance, a water will turn slowly, creaking with each revolution as clay pots scoop up water and pour it into the canal. A boy leads a donkey in circles to keep it moving. Round and round. Scoop and pour. A soft, slow heartbeat to nourish the earth. By midday, the workers rest in the shade of a tamarisk tree. A woven basket is opened, inside are flatbreads, dates, salted fish, and goat cheese wrapped in leaves. They eat slowly, chatting about the weather, the crops, the neighboring fields. The father speaks of how the floods were kinder this year, neither too high nor too low. The mother remembers how hard it was 3 summers ago, when the river failed to rise, and the crops shriveled under the sun. These fields are not just for survival, they're sacred. The very act of planting and harvesting is tied to the gods. Enlil, the god of wind and air, is thanked for the breath that stirs the fields. Enki, god of water and wisdom, is praised for the gift of flowing rivers. Every seed dropped into the soil carries a prayer, for rain, for sun, for peace. When the harvest comes, the whole village works together. Scythes cut through golden stalks. Sheaves are bundled and carried to threshing floors, where oxen walk in circles to separate grain from husk. It's dusty work, but there is laughter and singing, too. The children chase birds away, and the elders tell stories from harvests past, some bountiful, others lean. At the end of the season, an offering is made at the temple. The best sheaves of barley are stacked neatly at the altar. The priests say the words. A girl pours oil into a shallow dish, lighting it with a twig from the hearth. The flame flickers. It is a gift to the gods, a thank you for the life they helped coax from the ground. As the sun begins to lower in the sky, the family walks back from the field. Their clothes are dusted with dirt, their hands sore but satisfied. A breeze picks up, rustling through the stalks like whispers from the past. A hawk glides overhead, its wings outstretched, its cry distant and clear. At home, water is drawn and feet are washed. The evening meal is simple but nourishing. Lentil stew, baked bread, olives, and a fig or two if they're in season. The father leans back on a cushion, sighing with the weight of the day. The mother hums softly as she braids her daughter's hair. The boy practices tying a knot he learned from the canal workers. The smallest child has already dozed off, a crust of bread still in her hand. Outside, the moon rises slowly over the fields, casting silver light across the furrows. The canals shimmer like ribbons of glass. Somewhere in the distance, a jackal howls, but the village sleeps undisturbed. When the harvest comes, the whole village works together. Scythes cut through golden stalks. Sheaves are bundled and carried to threshing floors, where oxen walk in circles to separate grain from husk. It's dusty work, but there is laughter and singing, too. The children chase birds away, and the elders tell stories from harvests past, some bountiful, others lean. At the end of the season, an offering is made at the temple. The best sheaves of barley are stacked neatly at the altar. The priests say the words. A girl pours oil into a shallow dish, lighting it with a twig from the hearth. The flame flickers. It is a gift to the gods, a thank you for the life they helped coax from the ground. As the sun begins to lower in the sky, the family walks back from the field. Their clothes are dusted with dirt, their hands sore but satisfied. A breeze picks up, rustling through the stalks like whispers from the past. A hawk glides overhead, its wings outstretched, its cry distant and clear. At home, water is drawn and feet are washed. The evening meal is simple but nourishing. Lentil stew, baked bread, olives, and a fig or two if they're in season. The father leans back on a cushion, sighing with the weight of the day. The mother hums softly as she braids her daughter's hair. The boy practices tying a knot he learned from the canal workers. The smallest child has already dozed off, a crust of bread still in her hand. Outside, the moon rises slowly over the fields, casting silver light across the furrows. The canals shimmer like ribbons of glass. Somewhere in the distance, a jackal howls, but the village sleeps undisturbed. There is no hurry. The air is hot, and the sun is high. After the meal, most homes go quiet. It's time to rest. The father reclines on a cushion, eyes half closed. The children nap in the shade, limbs loose and breathing steady. Even the animals quiet down. This peaceful stillness, common in the hottest part of the day, is a kind of shared pause, a respect for the climate and for the body's need to recover. Later, when the sun begins its slow descent, activity returns. The mother repairs a torn basket while humming a tune. A neighbor stops by, carrying figs and news from the marketplace. They sit together, sharing food and words, laughing softly, their voices drifting into the warm evening air. The hearth is rekindled, and a new fire burns gently as the evening meal is prepared. The scent of roasted onions and cumin fills the home. A jug of beer, brewed from barley and slightly sour, is brought out and shared. The light dims, and small oil lamps are lit, their flames flickering like stars caught in clay bowls. As night deepens, the family gathers in the courtyard. The father tells a story, perhaps one of the old myths, like how the goddess Inanna once descended into the underworld and returned. The children listen with wide eyes, mouths open, hearts full of wonder. This is how memory lives, not just in tablets or temples, but in voices and the warmth of shared breath. Finally, the mats are unrolled. The family sleeps side by side under the stars. The night is still, broken only by the occasional bark of a dog or the flutter of wings. The city beyond their door is quiet, but it too breathes, through its homes, its courtyards, its people. In Mesopotamia, the home is not just a shelter. It is a world. A place of rest, of care, of learning. It is where bread is broken, stories are told, and life is made sacred through its daily rhythm. And in that rhythm, the people sleep, cradled by the soft hum of crickets and the slow turning of time. The sun rises slowly over the city walls, casting long, golden lines across the stone-paved streets. The air is still cool, and a gentle breeze stirs the dust as the city begins to wake. From every alley, every courtyard, people emerge, carrying baskets, jugs, bundles of cloth. Their footsteps echo lightly through the streets, all heading in one direction, toward the heart of the city. Toward the marketplace. Here, life gathers in quiet waves. Not loud or hurried, but steady, like a river flowing through stone channels. The scent of fresh herbs, dried fish, and baked bread mingles in the warm morning air. Vendors begin to unpack their goods beneath canopies of woven reeds and stretched cloth. The market stalls are simple, wooden planks, clay stands, baskets turned upside down to display jars, tools, and bundles of grain. A woman spreads out embroidered cloths, their patterns dyed in gentle reds and browns. She smooths each piece with care, making sure they're arranged just right. Next to her, an old man places jars of honey on a woven mat, each sealed with beeswax and wrapped in linen. He offers a soft nod to passers-by, a quiet invitation to browse. The marketplace is more than a place of trade, it is a place of rhythm, of gathering, of connection. A man selling garlic chats with a potter as they exchange goods. No coins change hands, only goods, barter is common here. 3 onions for a small cup of oil. A clay cup in return for a length of thread. A pair of sandals for a jar of salted fish. In the center of the market stands a large stone basin filled with water. It is cool and clear, meant for washing hands, rinsing vegetables, or simply refreshing the skin on a warm day. Children dip their fingers into it, laughing softly as they flick drops at each other. A pair of goats bleat nearby, tugging gently at their ropes. A donkey stands patiently in the shade, its load already lightened. Nearby, a scribe sits beneath a canopy, clay tablets laid neatly on a cloth before him. He carries a stylus tucked behind his ear and a small jar of water to soften the clay. A woman approaches him with a quiet request, a trade contract between 2 cousins, listing sheep, dates, and a promised dowry. The scribe listens carefully, nodding, and begins to write. His hands move calmly, with confidence born of practice. There is music too, drifting through the market. A boy plays a reed flute, sitting on the edge of a step, eyes closed. His tune is simple, just a rising and falling line, but it weaves between the stalls, a thread of sound that ties the morning together. People smile as they pass him. Some toss small figs or pieces of bread into his bowl. A young girl helps her mother count lentils into a jar. She holds each handful like treasure, pouring slowly and carefully. When the jar is full, her mother wraps it tightly and tucks it into their basket. This basket, like so many others, is made from palm leaves, tightly woven and curved to balance on the hip or atop the head. Across the way, a perfume seller waves his fan over tiny clay vials. He offers a whiff of myrrh, rosewater, and sweet almond oil. His hands are soft, his voice gentle, drawing in curious customers. One vial is bought with a small piece of silver, a rare transaction, saved for things delicate and dear. As the sun climbs higher, shadows shorten and the heat grows. Some vendors retreat beneath their cloth awnings, sipping cool water or chewing dried dates. Others continue their quiet sales, fanning themselves gently, speaking in low, even tones. The marketplace is not chaotic. It is full, yes, but full of calm intention. Every voice seems to know its volume. Every footstep knows where to fall. This is how the city breathes. Through trade, through conversation, through the soft clink of pottery and the rustle of cloth. Near the gate, two travelers approach. One carries baskets filled with lapis lazuli beads, the other bundles of wool. Their clothes mark them as coming from the mountains to the north. The local traders greet them not as strangers, but as part of the wider circle. The rhythm of the market expands to welcome them. Their voices join the song. As the day stretches into afternoon, some stalls begin to pack up. Baskets are retied, jugs are covered with cloth, and leftover bread is gathered and shared. The market begins to empty, not in a rush, but in waves, like a tide withdrawing from the shore. The last to leave is the flute player. He tucks his instrument under his arm, pockets a few figs, and walks off humming his tune. The square quiets. Dust swirls gently in the heat. Empty baskets remain, leaning against low walls. The silence is not lonely, it is a pause, a breath. The market will return tomorrow, as it always does. The horizon glows with the amber blush of early evening. In the distance, rising above the rooftops and dusty streets, stands the great ziggurat, its silhouette layered like the steps of a mountain, steady and still against the fading sky. This is not just a building. It is a symbol. A bridge between earth and the heavens. In Mesopotamia, each major city has its ziggurat, a towering temple built for the gods. Unlike the towering cathedrals of later ages, these structures are wide and squat, layered in receding tiers. From afar, they resemble mountains of brick and clay, carefully stacked and shaped by human hands reaching upward. Today, the ziggurat is calm. The last rays of the sun touch its highest level, where a shrine rests, quiet and clean, dedicated to the city's patron deity. In Ur, it might be Nana, the moon god. In Babylon, it is Marduk, the lord of magic and justice. Each god, each temple, wrapped in devotion, in ritual, in memory. A priest in a white linen robe walks slowly up the long stairway that spirals around the temple. He carries a small vessel of oil and a handful of incense. His pace is gentle, deliberate. Each step is a prayer. Each breath, an offering. Below, in the temple courtyard, the life of the sacred center continues. A woman brings a small basket of dates as an offering. A young couple arrives with a newborn, placing a woven token before the god statue, asking for protection. No one rushes. There are no crowds. Worship here is as natural as the wind moving through palm leaves. Inside the lower temple chambers, quietness reigns. The walls are painted with simple lines and soft colors, symbols of rivers, stars, and ears of barley. There are no thrones or golden treasures. Only peace. Only intention. Lamps burn low in clay niches, casting flickering light across the room. Shadows dance on the walls like silent echoes of prayer. In the back room, tablets are stored. Records of rituals, dreams, hymns, and omens. Mesopotamians believe the gods speak through the world. In the shape of smoke. In the motion of birds. In the patterns formed by oil poured into water. The priests observe, record, interpret. Not for power, but for harmony, to remain in rhythm with the divine. Outside, on the terrace halfway up the ziggurat, a small garden grows. Planted with devotion, it holds sacred herbs, flowering plants, and a few fruit trees. The air is sweet with the scent of myrrh and tamarisk. A few bees hum lazily around the blossoms. A soft breeze rises, cooling the priest as he tends a clay lamp, adjusting the wick, whispering a short, ancient verse. The view from here is wide. You can see the city below, its walls, rooftops, canals, and streets. Beyond that, the fields stretch out in gold and green. Farther still, the rivers wind toward the horizon, glinting like threads of glass in the sun's final light. This place, the top of the ziggurat, feels closer to the sky, to the stars soon to appear. It is a space between. As dusk turns to dark, a torch is lit at the top of the temple. Its flame is small but clear. A beacon, a quiet signal to the city below, the gods are present. Watching. Listening. Back in the homes, families glance upward. Some pause for a brief prayer before supper. Others whisper thanks for the day's blessings, safe returns, good crops, restful sleep. The presence of the ziggurat reminds them of something larger. Something still and enduring, like the river, like the stars. Later in the night, a priest climbs once more, this time to observe the heavens. He brings with him a smooth tablet and stylus, ready to record the moon's path, the positions of the stars. Mesopotamians are skilled sky watchers. They map constellations, track eclipses, predict floods. Not through magic, but through quiet observation, careful patterns, and reverence for the order of things. The stars emerge one by one, scattered across the velvet night. The moon hangs above, full and glowing, casting silver across the temple's bricks. Below, the city sleeps. But up here, time continues, slow, sacred, celestial. In Mesopotamia, the ziggurat is more than architecture. It is a quiet ascent, a place of calm observation, of sacred breath, of closeness to the unseen. It is a steady stairway into silence, into meaning. And as the priest writes beneath the stars, and the torch flickers gently beside him, the night continues its quiet hum, ancient, peaceful, eternal. In the soft stillness of early morning, the Tigris glides by like a mirror of the sky. Its surface shimmers with light, silver and gold dancing along gentle ripples. Reeds sway at the edges, their rustle barely louder than a whisper. The river is calm, unhurried. It has known many mornings like this, more than memory can hold. To live in Mesopotamia is to live with the rivers. The Tigris and the Euphrates are not merely water, they are lifelines, storytellers, and paths through the world. They carry more than just fish and reeds. They carry time. Along the bank, a small family prepares a boat made from bundled papyrus and palm fiber. The father tightens the bindings, checking the shape. It's a light craft, curved at both ends and waterproofed with layers of bitumen. The daughter steadies the boat while her mother loads baskets into the center, barley, wool, jars of oil, and 2 clay pots filled with pickled vegetables. Today is a trading journey downstream. The family pushes off gently, the river cradling their boat as it begins its journey. The paddle moves in smooth strokes. The boat glides forward, carried partly by current, partly by muscle, but mostly by patience. A soft splash. Then another. Water trickles around the edges. A heron lifts off from the reeds, wings wide and silent. On the river, the world slows down. Boats pass now and then, larger ones carrying wood from the north, or copper from far-off lands. Some boats bear painted sails, others, like this one, are paddled by hand. There are greetings, waves, a few exchanged words. But no shouting. The river demands calm. Along the way, scenes unfold like stories in motion. A group of boys fish with nets, laughing when they splash one another. A woman kneels beside the water, scrubbing linens against a stone. She sings softly, the melody floating above the current. Further downstream, water buffalo wade into the shallows, their massive forms half submerged, eyes closed in quiet contentment. The riverbanks are full of life, but peaceful life. Palm groves sway gently. Egrets stand like statues in the shallows. Occasionally, the boat passes a shrine nestled among the reeds, a small stone statue draped with flowers or a clay dish offering food to the river spirit. The people give thanks, not only when rains fall or crops grow, but for the simple, daily gift of flow. The father hums an old tune as he paddles. His daughter watches dragonflies flit across the surface, their wings catching the sun. The boat sways slightly with each stroke, steady and soft. They stop at a river market, a simple landing place where traders gather with boats tied side by side. Goods are laid out on woven mats. Dates, onions, fish, tools, cloth. The exchange is quiet but purposeful. The father trades for a small bundle of herbs and a polished obsidian blade. The girl listens to the soft rhythm of the voices, the creak of boats, the gentle lapping of water. A priest from a nearby temple blesses the riverbank with a sprinkling of scented oil. His words are barely above a murmur. He speaks to the river, to Enki, the god of water and wisdom, offering thanks for safe travel, for smooth current, for clean water. As the sun climbs higher, the family continues downriver. The paddle returns to its rhythm. The mother dozes gently, head resting on a folded shawl. The daughter traces her finger in the water, drawing spirals and waves that vanish almost instantly. The father steers toward the shore where a narrow canal cuts into the land, leading toward their village. They turn off the great river, entering the calm, narrow path. The water here is even quieter. Trees bend overhead, creating shadows that flicker across the boat. Birds chirp softly, unseen in the branches. By late afternoon, they arrive home. The boat is pulled ashore and tied to a stake. The baskets are carried inside. The daughter gathers reeds to patch a small hole near the boat's stern. The father rinses his hands, then pours a little water onto the ground as a final offering, thanks for a safe return. That night, as the moonlight glows faintly on the surface of the river, the village sleeps nearby, and the water flows on. Past homes and fields, temples and trees. Past memories. Past time itself. The river does not speak in words. It speaks in motion. In shimmer. In stillness. And to those who live by its side, it offers more than travel or trade. It offers peace. A quiet rhythm to live by. A whisper of eternity, winding always, softly, toward the sea. In a shaded courtyard just beyond the city gate, the first quiet tap-tap-tap of a chisel begins. It is still early, cool, calm, but already the workshop is gently alive with motion. Not bustling. Not noisy. Just a steady rhythm of tools meeting material. Of skill, slowly unfolding. This is the workshop of a potter and his son. Around them, shelves hold neat rows of jars, bowls, and cups. Some are plain and practical, others decorated with swirling lines or tiny stamped patterns. A soft layer of clay dust covers everything, even the air, which smells faintly of earth, smoke, and drying straw. The potter dips his hands into a water jar and begins to knead a mound of clay. His fingers work with experience, pressing, folding, shaping, until the lump is smooth and ready. He moves to his wheel, which he spins by foot, and carefully places the clay at its center. As it turns, the vessel begins to rise, spiraling gently into form. The wheel hums quietly. The clay sighs beneath his touch. In another part of the workshop, his son sharpens a carving tool and begins to etch the edge of a wide bowl. He's careful not to press too hard. The lines must be light, like wind-blown reeds. His father glances over and offers a nod of quiet approval. Next door, the metalworker begins his day. He stokes the fire in his furnace, which glows softly, not yet fierce. He melts copper in a clay crucible, watching carefully as it begins to shimmer. Beside him, tools hang in tidy rows, tongs, hammers, molds shaped like fish, birds, and wheels. He pours the molten metal into a simple mold, a blade for a plow, meant to dig through the soft Mesopotamian soil. The copper flows in silence, then cools with a faint hiss. A puff of smoke. Then stillness. Further down the lane, a woodworker saws through a tamarisk plank, preparing slats for a new door. The saw sings softly. Not shrill, not sharp, just a dry, steady song of fiber meeting blade. Shavings fall like curled leaves to the floor. Here in Mesopotamia, craft is not rushed. Tools are not thrown or slammed. Everything is measured. Calm. Even sacred. To shape the materials of the world, clay, wood, metal, fiber, is to participate in the cycle of life, to turn raw earth into use and beauty. In the courtyard, a weaver hums gently as she threads her loom. Threads stretch vertically like golden rays, while her shuttle passes side to side, weaving them into fabric. Her fingers move like dancers, never stopping, never clumsy. She uses wool dyed in deep reds and browns, the colors of soil and sun. Soon the cloth will be used for robes, blankets, perhaps a ceremonial wrap for the temple. A young apprentice mixes bitumen and ash in a bowl nearby, preparing it for waterproofing clay vessels. He doesn't speak, but watches everything, every hand, every motion, every pause. This is how knowledge moves here, slowly, carefully, without need for books or loud instruction. Just patient observation. In a corner, an old sculptor works with a small piece of limestone. He shapes it into a lion with wide eyes and a calm posture. It's no grand statue, just a token for someone's home or shrine. But the care is the same. His hands are worn, his back bent, but his movements are precise. He breathes slowly as he works, matching the rhythm of his chisel to the breeze drifting through the window. Occasionally, someone from the village visits. A woman brings a broken bowl to be mended. A boy wants a new fishing hook. A priest requests a special lamp for the temple's next moon ceremony. Each visitor is greeted not with shouts or bargaining, but with soft voices and focused attention. In the afternoon, the sun rises high and the courtyard warms. Workers pause to sip water or eat from shared bowls of lentils and barley cakes. The potter sets a few finished pieces in the sun to dry. Others are ready for the kiln, a domed oven at the edge of the yard, its mouth dark and warm. By sunset, the work slows. Tools are cleaned, hung, and covered. The metal cools. The wheel is still. The loom's final thread is tied in a neat knot. In the fading light, the father and son sit side by side, examining the day's work. A few pieces cracked. One bowl turned out just right. They say little. Their hands rest in silence. As dusk deepens, the workshop quiets entirely. Birds settle into the palm trees. Lamps are lit in nearby homes. And from the shelves, the pots and vessels gleam faintly in the firelight, shaped by hand, born of earth, touched by fire. In Mesopotamia, a workshop is more than a place of labor. It is a place of mindfulness. Of transformation. Of patience. The first light of day spills over the rooftops and into the narrow alleyways where children stir, stretching in the cool breeze before the sun climbs high. Their laughter is not loud or wild, but soft and melodic, like birdsong woven through the morning air. In ancient Mesopotamia, childhood is simple, close to the earth. There are no toys made of glass or painted wood. No clocks to hurry them. The world is their playground, and its rhythms guide their days. A small group of children run barefoot across the packed dirt paths between homes. They carry smooth stones and bundles of reeds, inventing games with what the land provides. One draws circles in the dust with a stick, marking spaces for a pebble game passed down through generations. Another girl wears a crown of woven grass, pretending to be a priestess, her voice rising in gentle chant. Older siblings watch the younger ones while parents work nearby. A boy helps his sister braid her hair, while another gently cradles a goat kid that was just born during the night. Care is part of play, and play is part of life. Everything is intertwined. Under a tree, a grandmother tells a quiet tale. The children gather, sitting cross-legged, eyes wide. She speaks of Enzu the lion bird, of Inanna's silver necklace, of kings who talked with gods. Her words are slow, rhythmic, almost like music. They wrap around the listeners like warm cloth. Children learn early in Mesopotamia, not from books, but from watching. From helping. From repeating tasks alongside their elders. A young girl mixes water and clay, mimicking her mother's movements. A boy follows his father to the fields, carrying a small basket, imitating the bending and planting. No one scolds. No one hurries. Learning is like breathing, natural, inevitable. In the afternoon heat, children rest in the shade of courtyards. Some trace patterns into the dust with fingers. Others hum to themselves or nap with their heads on folded arms. The world slows down, and so do they. Even their energy respects the sun's intensity. A few boys gather to play with tiny wheels carved from clay, attaching them to sticks and pretending they are chariots. They make soft galloping sounds as they push them through the dirt. A girl nearby presses reeds into wet clay, making impressions that mimic cuneiform script. She smiles, pleased by the neat rows of symbols. At the edge of the village, older children swim in the irrigation canals. Their splashes are quiet and playful, their voices echoing across the water. They dive and resurface, tossing pebbles, challenging each other to underwater games. Afterward, they sit on the bank, dripping and grinning, letting the sun dry their skin as dragonflies hover nearby. When evening comes, families gather. Children help serve food, passing flatbreads and bowls of stew. They are not separate from the adult world, they are part of it, folded gently into its routines. At night, some help light the oil lamps. Others lay out the sleeping mats. A baby falls asleep to the soft thump of a mortar grinding barley, her head nestled against her mother's chest. Sleep comes easily to children here. The night carries cool air and the sounds of frogs and distant reed flutes. The stars will slowly overhead, ancient and comforting. Dreams, too, come gently. Of lions and gods, of boats and birds, of the laughter shared that day. In Mesopotamia, children are not rushed. Their lives are woven into the world with care. They grow up under the sun and stars, with feet in the dust, hands in the river, hearts full of stories and silence. In Mesopotamia, life hums gently around the rivers. The Tigris and the Euphrates are more than just water, they are breath, song, and memory. The day begins with their whisper, the soft lapping at the muddy banks, and ends with their lullaby beneath the moon. A farmer kneels at the edge of an irrigation canal, cupping water in his hands. It is cool and clear, glinting softly in the morning light. He watches it flow, slow and steady, drawn from the great river into narrow channels that crisscross his field like quiet veins. The water brings life to his barley and flax, to his onions and date palms. Without it, all would return to dust. The fields are peaceful this time of day. Birds call from tall reeds. Insects hum just above the leaves. The farmer moves slowly, pulling weeds with careful fingers, checking the furrows for signs of dryness or pests. His oxen rest beneath a tamarisk tree, flicking their tails, chewing lazily. The river has taught him patience. Further downstream, women gather by a bend in the water. Their baskets are filled with linen and clay jugs. They kneel by the stones and begin to wash, scrubbing gently, rhythmically. Water splashes in soft bursts. Their voices rise in a quiet song, part lullaby, part prayer, echoing faintly across the ripples. A young girl dips her toes into the current, watching fish dart through the reeds. She reaches out, curious, and touches a lily pad, marveling at how it floats. Her mother laughs softly, offering her a small clay cup to fill and pour and fill again. The river is not rushed. It moves on its own time. And those who live beside it learn to follow its rhythm. A fisherman pushes his boat from the shore. It's a small craft made of bundled reeds, shaped like a crescent moon. He carries a net and a small clay jar of bait. The paddle makes a quiet swish as he rows into the gentle current. Birds circle above, watching. He casts his net with a practiced motion, then waits. Stillness. The boat drifts slightly, carried by the water's will. He watches the sky, the water, the shifting shadows of trees. The net moves. With a slow, careful pull, he hauls in a modest catch, 3 silver fish, shining like polished stone. Enough for dinner. Enough to be grateful. Children gather at the river's edge as the sun climbs higher. They skip flat stones, counting skips in hushed tones. One boy finds a turtle and watches it crawl patiently back into the water. A girl weaves a garland of river grasses and sets it afloat like a tiny boat, whispering a wish as it spins away. In the afternoon, the water reflects the golden sky. A scribe sits beneath a tree near the bank, reading aloud from a clay tablet. His voice is soft and slow, words falling like leaves. Behind him, the rustle of water answers every phrase. The river gives more than food or irrigation. It gives balance. It teaches quiet power, how to move through the world gently, constantly, without needing to shout. As dusk arrives, the river deepens in color, shifting from gold to silver, then to a quiet indigo. Lamps flicker along the shore. A heron glides across the surface, wings outstretched, then lands with barely a ripple. The world exhales. People return home, their baskets full, their hearts steady. They've walked with the river today, listened to its lessons. The city breathes quietly in the morning haze, its rooftops warming under the sun's first touch. In the heart of Mesopotamia's sacred towns, temples rise like stepped mountains from the flat earth. Their bricks are sun-baked, ochre and warm, their edges worn smooth by wind and time. The Ziggurat stands tall, a place where heaven meets earth. It is not a building of noise or grand declarations, but of stillness. Each step upward narrows the world below, drawing the soul closer to the divine. At dawn, a priest slowly climbs its levels, his linen robe whispering against his ankles. He carries a bowl of incense. With each step, the scent of frankincense rises into the morning air, curling like the breath of the gods. In the courtyard below, the temple is waking. Attendants sweep dust from the stone floor, their motions slow and reverent. A quiet hush fills the space, there are no loud conversations here. Even the sounds of footsteps seem softened. This is the house of the divine, where even silence has weight. A small clay statue of a god sits in a niche, its eyes wide, inlaid with shell and lapis lazuli. Before it are offerings, dates, a bowl of milk, a folded piece of woven cloth. These are not riches, but gifts of thanks. Simple, sincere. The priests of Mesopotamia do not rush. Their rituals are deliberate, rooted in rhythm and repetition. The ringing of a small bell marks the hour of prayer. A young acolyte pours water from a jar over the steps of the shrine. The sound is gentle, like rainfall in a dream. In a nearby chamber, scribes copy hymns onto soft clay tablets. Their styluses move with practiced ease, pressing signs into the surface with care. The temple walls are lined with these records, songs to the gods, lists of offerings, names of stars. Time is held here, not in sand or stone, but in symbols. Each mark a whisper from the past. Outside the temple, life continues in the shade of its greatness. A woman kneels near the outer wall, her head bowed in silent prayer. Her child clutches her robe and listens to the stillness. A group of men rest beneath a date palm, speaking softly about dreams and omens. They glance toward the towering ziggurat with respect, their words trailing off like dust in the breeze. The temple's influence reaches beyond its walls. Its calendars mark the seasons, its priests interpret the movements of planets and stars. When rain comes or fails to come, the people look first to the gods and their servants for meaning. But they do so not in fear, but in quiet reverence. They understand the limits of their knowledge, and in that understanding, they find peace. As the sun reaches its height, the temple rests in shadow. Its bricks, still warm, now hum with silence. Within, the statue of the god remains unmoving, its gaze steady, eternal. And outside, the city moves gently around it, like water around a stone. The ziggurat does not shout its presence. It watches. It listens. It waits. In the afternoon, the priest descends from the heights. His steps are slow. He carries nothing now, only the faint scent of incense in his robes, and the memory of the sky seen from above. Evening falls. Oil lamps flicker on the temple altars. A soft wind rustles the palm fronds. Somewhere in the distance, a reed flute begins to play. And in the shadows of temples, the sacred and the simple exist side by side. In the soft hush of early morning, a scribe sits cross-legged beneath a shaded awning. Around him, the city stirs slowly, vendors opening stalls, birds fluttering between rooftops, and distant voices calling out with greetings. But in this small courtyard, all is still. Before the scribe lies a smooth clay tablet. He holds a stylus, nothing more than a pointed reed, but in his hands, it becomes a tool of memory and meaning. With care, he begins to press signs into the clay, each one small and precise. This is cuneiform, the writing of Mesopotamia, as old as any story told beneath the stars. He does not rush. Writing is an act of meditation. Each symbol captures a breath, a thought, a sliver of the world held still in time. And as he works, the city's slow rhythms seem to align with his own. Other scribes join him, their tablets cradled like precious stones. They greet one another with quiet nods. Some record transactions, grain stored, wool traded, silver weighed. Others copy hymns or catalog the names of rivers and stars. In this age before paper, every thought pressed into clay must be intentional. Nothing is wasted. A young apprentice watches, his brow furrowed in concentration. He mimics the motions of his teacher, tongue poking from the corner of his mouth, stylus trembling slightly. The scribe smiles, gently correcting his angle, guiding his hand. There is no scolding. Learning, like writing, takes time. Nearby, shelves of hardened tablets rest in neat stacks. Some are wrapped in linen. Others bear impressions of seals, intricate patterns left by carved stone cylinders rolled across the soft clay. These marks protect the words within, a silent promise that what was written will not be altered or forgotten. The air grows warmer. Bees hum lazily near jars of date syrup. A woman passes by with a basket of figs, her steps quiet on the stone path. She glances at the scribes and offers a soft greeting, which they return without breaking rhythm. Not all tablets carry commerce or prayers. Some hold stories. Epic tales of gods and kings, of heroes crossing deserts and seeking immortality. The scribes speak them aloud sometimes, one line at a time, letting the words stretch gently into the air like a lullaby. The others pause to listen. These stories are old, older than any one man, but they are never told the same way twice. In the voice of the scribe, each tale becomes new again. Later in the day, a merchant arrives, requesting a tablet be copied for his records. The scribe nods and takes the request with quiet efficiency. The exchange is simple, familiar. These are the gentle gears of civilization turning, softly, steadily. As evening approaches, the scribes clean their hands in a shallow bowl of water. Clay clings to their fingers and under their nails, a soft dusting of their day's work. The apprentice packs away the tablets with care, wrapping each one like a small treasure. The courtyard dims. Lamps are lit, casting long shadows over shelves and benches. The last lines of the day's work are pressed into clay, slowly, like a final breath. The scribe reads it once to himself, then smiles, satisfied. Words, held in earth. Not shouted. Not carved in stone. Just gently impressed, quiet thoughts for a quiet world. As the night descends, the city cools, and the sound of the reed flute returns, drifting through the alleys. The scribes close their workshop, stepping into the fading light with calm hearts. They leave behind their tablets like footprints in time. In the golden light of late afternoon, the breeze carries soft tones through the courtyards and alleys of Mesopotamia. Somewhere, just beyond the marketplace, a lyre begins to play, a few gentle notes, slow and sweet, like raindrops on warm stone. Under a canopy of date palms, people gather. Not in a loud crowd, but in a gentle circle, sitting on woven mats, leaning on clay jars, resting in the calm hush that always follows the end of a busy day. The air is filled with the scent of baked bread and fresh-cut herbs, mingling with the music like an unseen dance. The musician is a slender man, seated cross-legged with his instrument on his lap. The lyre is made of wood and strung with gut, its curved arms shaped like a crescent moon. His fingers pluck the strings lightly, drawing out quiet melodies that feel older than speech. He hums softly along, eyes half closed. Nearby, a woman taps a small frame drum, her rhythms delicate, more like a heartbeat than a song. A boy with a reed pipe joins in, his breath slow and steady. Their music doesn't demand attention. It invites it, softly. Elders close their eyes and lean back. Children sit cross-legged, swaying gently to the rhythm. A mother hums with the tune, rocking her baby in time. Laughter rises occasionally, not loud or sharp, just a ripple of warmth moving through the group like wind through grass. Music in Mesopotamia is not only for joy. It is also for healing, for reflection. In temples, it is part of prayer. In the palace, it accompanies feasts. But here, beneath the palms, it belongs to the people. Ordinary souls, finding beauty in shared stillness. A traveling storyteller arrives, cradling a small harp and a satchel of clay tablets. The circle widens. He sings an old tale, of the hero Gilgamesh, of Enkidu and the cedar forests, of dreams and gods and the ache of mortality. His voice is soft but rich, carrying the story like a warm wind. As he plays, the sun lowers, painting the sky in strokes of rose and amber. The shadows of the palm trees stretch longer, crisscrossing the ground like ancient script. The music continues, no rush, no crescendo, just a gentle unfolding of sound and story. A young girl claps along in time, her hands barely making a sound. An old man taps his foot on the packed earth. This is not performance. It is communion. It is memory shared without words. When the tale ends, no one speaks for a moment. The hush is deep, reverent. Then comes a quiet murmur of appreciation, and another melody begins, this one lighter, brighter. A tune for laughter, for dancing, even if only in the imagination. As darkness settles in, lanterns are lit. The warm glow dances across faces and instruments. Clay cups are passed around, cool water, sweet wine, fig juice. The music continues. And above them, stars begin to appear, one by one, as if joining the song. No one shouts. No one rushes away. They stay, lulled by strings and breath, by rhythm and memory. Because here, under the ancient trees of a land between rivers, music doesn't need to be loud to matter. It only needs to be felt. The morning light filters through the woven canopy of reeds, casting soft patterns onto the packed clay floor. In the stillness of a shaded courtyard, a woman sits with her loom. Her hands move slowly, rhythmically, pull, pass, press, thread by thread, line by line. Weaving in Mesopotamia is more than a task. It is a quiet art, a way of life handed down from mother to daughter, from elder to apprentice. It requires patience, precision, and a peaceful mind. In this home, the loom stands like a silent companion, tall, wooden, simple. Beside it, bundles of wool dyed in soft earth tones wait to be woven into stories. The woman hums as she works, a tune passed down with the craft. Her fingers know their path by feel, not by sight. The cloth takes shape slowly, an intricate dance of color and fiber. Beige, brown, dusty blue. No sharp contrast, just a gentle harmony of tones, like the land itself. A young girl sits nearby, watching closely. Her hands mimic the motion in the air, practicing in silence. Every so often, the weaver pauses to guide her, correcting her form, encouraging her without words. Learning is not hurried here, it flows like a river, steady and quiet. Other women pass through the courtyard. One brings a bowl of warm porridge, another brings new skeins of dyed thread, colors made from roots, bark, and flowers. There is a calm companionship among them. They speak in soft tones, their words often trailing off as they focus on the cloth. Outside the courtyard, the city stirs to life, merchants calling, animals braying, footsteps in the street. But here, time slows. The loom sets the pace. The sound it makes, the gentle creak of wood, the tap of thread, blends into a kind of music. A weaving song with no voice. A small breeze drifts through, lifting the edges of the woven cloth. The weaver smiles and adjusts it, then returns to her work. She thinks of the cloth's future. Perhaps it will be a blanket for a newborn, or a robe for a traveler, or an offering for the temple. But for now, it is simply her task. One that brings peace with every strand. Weaving is an act of balance, not just of color and texture, but of breath and presence. Each finished piece carries the quiet of the courtyard in its threads. It is more than fabric. It is memory, shaped with care. The sun climbs slowly, casting sharper shadows. The weaver rises and stretches, dusting clay from her robe. She places a cloth over her work and pours a cup of cool water. The girl picks up a spindle and begins to twist wool into thread, her face calm with focus. There is no rush. The loom will wait. And when the weaver returns, she will sit once more, draw the thread through the frame, and continue her slow, beautiful conversation with the cloth. A craft woven not just with hands, but with heart. The Tigris flows softly at dawn. Its waters, dark and cool, catch the first light of day in long silver ribbons. Along the bank, the city's edge blurs into gardens, reed beds, and quiet fishermen casting their lines into the mist. A man kneels near the river's edge, rolling up his sleeves. He dips a clay jug into the water, watching the ripples spread gently. This water, steady, ancient, has nourished generations. It is the quiet lifeblood of Mesopotamia. Nearby, children play among the reeds, gathering lotus blossoms and skipping stones. Their laughter is light and unhurried, drifting across the surface like dragonflies. A woman washes clothes on a flat stone, her rhythm slow and even, each splash a gentle heartbeat. The riverbank is not just a place of work. It is a place of balance, between the wild and the built, between the city's pulse and nature's stillness. Farmers bring baskets of barley husks to feed to the goats. Young boys wade knee-deep, searching for freshwater clams. Ducks paddle in lazy circles near the shore. As the sun rises higher, the light shifts. Palm trees cast long shadows over the water. A barge drifts by, guided by two boatmen with long poles. Their voices are low as they sing a soft tune, a work song passed down from their fathers. The boat carries jars of date syrup and baskets of wool, bound for the marketplace. The river provides, always. It gives water for the crops, fish for the table, reeds for roofs and baskets. It carries messages and memories from town to town. Even the city itself was born because of it, its streets shaped to its flow, its markets timed to its rise and fall. By midday, the river grows quiet again. The children have wandered home. The laundry is hung out to dry. A scribe sits beneath a tamarisk tree, sketching the river's curve onto a clay tablet. He marks the date. This is the third month of the harvest season. The water is low, but steady. An old fisherman casts his net, then sits back to wait. His face is lined like river channels, his hands still strong. He hums softly to himself. The river knows him, just as he knows it. In the distance, you can see the city walls, the ziggurat rising behind them, proud and quiet. But here, at the water's edge, there are no crowds, no noise. Just the steady sound of water against stone, the rustle of reeds in the breeze, and the occasional splash of a fish. Evening comes slowly. The light turns amber. Birds return to the shallows. The old man pulls in his net, only a few fish, but enough. He smiles. He walks home in silence, clay jug in one hand, net in the other. Behind him, the river flows on. Unrushed. Undisturbed. Eternal. A quiet gift to a quiet people. As the heat of the day softens into evening, the market of the city begins to hum, not loudly, but with the warm murmur of people winding down. Lanterns are lit, their soft glow flickering like fireflies beneath woven awnings. Shadows stretch gently across the stone-paved street. The scent of spiced lentils and roasted onions hangs in the air, mingling with sweet dates and dried herbs. Traders sit on folded rugs behind their goods, rows of clay pots, woolen cloth, copper tools, and hand-carved figurines. Their voices are low and polite, words offered like soft ripples in the flow of twilight. A woman walks slowly, basket on her hip, pausing to smell a bunch of coriander. She nods in approval and exchanges a few dried figs for it. No coins, no rush, just quiet trust built on countless evenings like this one. Children wander nearby, eyes wide, drawn to colored beads and sweet sesame treats. One boy plays a small flute, not for money but for joy, and the notes drift between stalls like a lullaby. A potter displays his newest wares, smooth cups, shallow bowls, delicate oil lamps. He turns one in the lantern light to show the swirl of red clay within. A young couple picks it up carefully, imagining it on their hearth. The market is not loud, even at its busiest. It is calm, like the city itself. People know each other. Their movements are unhurried. Sellers speak of their goods with pride but no pressure. Buyers ask questions with patience, always ready to listen. In the corner, a scribe offers to write names or short prayers onto clay tablets for a few grains of barley or a square of cloth. He works carefully, his stylus scratching in soft rhythm. A girl sits cross-legged beside him, watching intently, perhaps dreaming of her own stylus one day. Above, the sky fades from gold to indigo. The stars begin to appear, one by one, like tiny offerings to the coming night. A temple bell sounds faintly in the distance, marking the hour. Some pause to murmur a prayer. Others simply look upward in stillness. Musicians arrive with small drums and flutes. They sit together near a low fire and begin to play a soft melody. People listen as they shop, as they talk, as they walk slowly between stalls. The rhythm blends into the market's pulse. A baker sells his last round loaves of the day, still warm, wrapped in linen. A woman offers roasted chickpeas from a wooden bowl. A man with coal-darkened eyes pours oil into tiny flasks. Here, life is shared, not shouted. The market is more than a place of exchange. It is a place of quiet connection, of stories carried home with each purchase. As the last of the goods are packed away and the lanterns begin to dim, there is no farewell, only a gentle parting. The city will gather again tomorrow. As always. And the soft hush of twilight will return, bringing with it the calm rhythm of life in Mesopotamia, where even commerce moves like a quiet song. At the heart of the city stands the ziggurat, tall, layered, and ancient. Its bricks, sun-dried and time-worn, rise in calm tiers above the rooftops and palms. Not grand in voice, but grand in silence. A temple mountain built not to shout to the heavens, but to listen to them. The ziggurat watches over the city like a silent guardian. It does not command. It does not hurry. It endures. Day after day, season after season. In the early morning, a priest climbs its long, shallow steps, each one worn smooth by countless feet before him. He carries a clay bowl of barley, a quiet offering. At the top, where the temple rests like a crown, he places it gently before the shrine. There is no ceremony, no crowd. Just the whisper of the wind and the hush of devotion. From above, the city spreads out softly, clay houses, narrow lanes, gardens, river bends. Smoke from cook fires curls upward in pale strands. The priest watches. He says a prayer for harmony, for health, for the sun to bless the fields and the moon to guide the night. Other priests tend to the shrine, sweeping its stone, arranging offerings, honey, milk, fresh bread, oils. They do this without haste, their movements careful and reverent. The ziggurat is sacred not just for the gods who dwell above, but for the stillness it offers below. Around the base of the great temple, the life of the city continues. Children play, scribes pass with their tablets, elders sit on shaded steps sharing dates and soft words. The ziggurat is not distant from them, it is part of their rhythm. A tall breath in the city's lungs. Sometimes, at dusk, the temple glows golden in the fading light. Shadows stretch down its tiers like fingers touching the earth. Birds circle its heights, calling softly as they settle. Lamps are lit on the upper shrine, flickering stars to meet those in the sky. On festival days, the steps fill with silent feet. Offerings are brought up in quiet lines, families, farmers, weavers, merchants, all taking part in the stillness. There is music, yes, but slow and echoing. No loud drums. Only flutes and chants that rise like a slow wind. And when storms pass, the ziggurat stands firm, its bricks soaked but unshaken. People look to it and feel steadied. They say it holds the city's memory in its walls, its hopes in its height. At night, when most have gone to sleep, a single flame may still flicker in the high temple. A priest keeps watch, sitting cross-legged in silence, listening to the wind, to the stars, to the breath of the gods that cannot be heard, only felt. In a shaded corner of the city, near a garden where herbs grow in tidy rows, lives the healer. Not a grand physician, not a priest of the temples, just a woman with steady hands and a gentle voice. People come to her not in haste, but in quiet hope. Her house is small, its walls cool with mud brick, its shelves lined with jars and woven baskets. Dried thyme and mint hang from the beams. Bowls of crushed resin, oils, and mineral salts sit in tidy groups. She knows each scent, each leaf, each powder by memory. A young mother brings her child, coughing from the dust. The healer listens closely, placing her hand on the child's back. No fear, no hurry, just calm attention. She brews a mixture of honey and anise in warm water, hands it to the mother with a quiet instruction, sip slowly, in the evening, with rest. Another visitor arrives, a man with a swollen foot. He removes his sandal with a wince. The healer kneels and washes the wound with cedar oil, wraps it in soft linen, and tells him to keep off it for 3 days. Her voice is low and sure, and the man nods. She does not speak of miracles. Only of balance. Each illness, each ache, is the body whispering. She listens carefully. She treats not just the wound, but the way it came to be. Tiredness, heat, bad water, a broken heart. These are all part of the healing. Her garden is her temple. Lemongrass, dill, rue, and sage grow in little beds. She walks barefoot among them, touching the leaves gently, whispering thanks as she gathers. She dries them on woven mats, crushes them in stone mortars, and stores them in labeled jars. She keeps tablets too, records of past treatments, drawings of herbs, prayers written in cuneiform for the goddess Gula, patroness of healing. But her most important tools are her eyes, her touch, her time. At dusk, she lights a small lamp. Visitors have left. She washes her hands in a clay basin, folds the linen neatly, and sits on her stool to grind a new mixture for the next day. Outside, the cicadas begin to sing, and the breeze carries the scent of mint and earth. She thinks of all the lives she has helped in quiet ways. No praise, no statues. Just trust. In Mesopotamia, healing is not thunderous. It is soft and watchful. A balm, not a blade. And in this world of calm rhythms and slow wisdom, the healer is a keeper of peace. One touch, one word, one herb at a time. The sky dims to a deep violet, and the warmth of the day begins to slip away like steam from a quiet bath. Across the rooftops of Mesopotamia, small oil lamps flicker into life, one by one, like stars being lit by careful hands. The city exhales. In the narrow lanes, children are called home with soft voices. Little feet patter over baked earth, sandals brushing dust, laughter trailing off into doorways. Mothers bring in clothes from the lines, folding linen with practiced ease. The air cools and settles. Inside the clay homes, families gather around low tables. The meals are simple: flatbread, lentils, roasted onions, and sometimes a bit of cheese or dates. The food is warm, familiar, and shared in comfortable silence or soft conversation. A father tells a short story. A child rests their head on their mother's shoulder. The rhythm slows. Above, on the rooftops, people sit to watch the sky. Some lie back with their hands behind their heads, gazing upward as the stars emerge. Others sip cool water from clay cups, eyes half closed, listening to the quiet sounds of the city winding down, footsteps fading, a lullaby sung gently, the soft hoot of an owl far off. A boy tends a tiny flame in a corner shrine, lighting a candle for the moon god, Nana. He says nothing, only bows his head. The glow reflects in his eyes as he stands still for a long moment, then walks inside. Elsewhere, an old man hums a tune, long and low, as he feeds the last of his goats for the night. He pats one on the head, mutters a word of thanks, and closes the gate softly. Nothing is done in haste. All things rest in their time. The night in Mesopotamia is not silent, but it is gentle. Dogs bark softly in the distance. The river gurgles under the moonlight. Wind passes through the reeds like a sigh. Everything moves in slow harmony. In one house, a scribe finishes his tablet under the dim light of a lamp. He brushes a final mark into the clay, then closes his eyes and whispers a line of poetry. The words are not meant for anyone, just for the night itself. A few watchmen walk the streets, their steps even and their eyes kind. They nod to each other as they pass, hands resting on wooden staffs. No trouble, only calm. As the final lamps are extinguished and the hush deepens, the city becomes a cradle of dreams. Beneath the stars, beneath the ziggurat, beneath layers of time, Mesopotamia breathes in stillness. The clay walls hold the warmth of day. The night wraps everything in cool silk. And sleep comes, soft as river mist, deep as ancient roots. The city is still now, resting beneath the wide sky of the ages. The people have long since gone. The lamps are out. The reed doors closed. The voices silenced by time. But in the hush that remains, something lingers. A breath. A memory. A rhythm that never truly ended. Beneath layers of dust and time, the bricks still hold warmth from sunrises past. The courtyards remember footsteps. The ziggurat remembers prayers. The river remembers names whispered on its banks. Not loudly, but as echoes, soft, slow, and deep. Archaeologists now walk where children once played. They kneel gently in the soil, brushing away centuries to find a bowl, a stylus, a bead. Each item they uncover is a word from a sleeping poem. Each ruin, a page of a story told in silence. They do not hurry. They listen. They observe. As the ancients once did. They find a pot with fingerprints still baked into its side. A broken tablet with a lullaby etched in delicate cuneiform. A spindle whorl. A fishhook. A child's game piece. These are not treasures of gold, but treasures of life. Quiet, ordinary life. And in museums far from the old river, these echoes are kept alive. Visitors walk slowly past displays of clay tablets and woven linen. They read about irrigation, about temples, about the rhythms of farming and the art of storytelling. But more than anything, they feel a hush. A calm. A closeness. Mesopotamia was not only the birthplace of empires and invention. It was the birthplace of slow mornings and shared meals. Of lullabies under stars and ink-stained fingers. Of people who loved quietly, worked patiently, and dreamed deeply. In the end, this city of clay did not vanish. It settled. It became part of the earth it once rose from. And now, it rises again, not in bricks, but in remembrance. And as the wind drifts over the old stones, carrying the same warmth it did thousands of years ago, we listen closely. We hear the past breathing softly. Not in shouts, not in battles, but in the quiet moments.